What's up, everybody? How many of you out there have trouble staying motivated in your current job? I know, myself included, it happens a lot. And for those of you that have your dream jobs, hey, you know what? More power to you. But for the rest of us out there that sometimes really have trouble getting from Monday to Friday, staying motivated most of the time, I've got some tips for you that can hopefully get you through each of the days. My name is Matt with Elevating Yourself, and I have had jobs where it just does not feel fulfilling anymore. And I have done some things that have really helped me push through the days. And by doing these tips and thinking about these strategies, you are going to be able to at least put yourself into a good place in your job. And if not, maybe give you the tips that you need in order to maybe put yourself into a job that you can at least get through the day. First, let's just talk about why some of the jobs that we have just aren't fulfilling anymore. Look, it's understandable for you not to be fulfilled in your current roles. It is a natural reaction sometimes to get into a position that just doesn't make a difference, or it doesn't make a difference in the world. But that's not to say that the job isn't important. It's not to say that you are wrong in feeling that way. Again, some of these jobs are like doing your laundry. It sucks to do it. Nobody wants to do it, but you got to do it. Otherwise, you're just going to smell all the time. Don't worry about that, though. I want everyone to be able to look at their current roles and think, what can I do to at least stay motivated enough to get me to the end of the day, to get me to the weekend, to get me to my vacation? Because realistically, that's what we should be doing. If you're not currently in your dream job, you can at least be working towards your dreams. And look at your job that you're currently in as just that, something that allows you to do the things that you really want to do. It is the money, it is the opportunity, it is whatever it is that you need it to be in order to propel you into the things that you want to do. It's funny, I took my son to the pediatrician a couple days ago, and the doctor asked him, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's interesting because he's like, I want to be a content creator, I want to be a pro athlete, I want to be an astronaut, all these grand gestures. And it's awesome to think like that, but it also made me kind of think, like, when was it that I stopped thinking like that? I remember when I was younger thinking I wanted to be this astronaut, I wanted to be a race car driver, all of these things. And when did that stop? Like, when did we give up feeling that way? Is it the people around us that kind of talked us out of our dreams? Is it the people around us that said, you know what, it's going to be really hard, or it's a very small percentage of people that make it to that point, so don't bother? I don't know. It's interesting. Even the pediatrician, when my son said, hey, I want to be a content creator, he's like, what's your backup plan? And that's not necessarily a bad thing to think about, but it made me think, am I supporting my kids in their own dreams? Again, not saying they shouldn't do something. I think it's important to have boundaries, but you definitely want to be able to support them. And maybe that's where we're at right now. Maybe we didn't have that support around us to kind of push us to continue on to our dreams. So let's talk about a key principle, the art of doing just enough. I'm not saying that I want anybody to go out and do the bare minimum. I think when you get into a position where you're doing the bare minimum, that could potentially bring negative attention to yourself, which is not what we want to do. We want to do enough where people don't really pay attention to it. They know that you're going to do your job. You're not doing it bad. You're not doing it great, where you may get more work put on you, because that tends to happen, right? Those overachievers out there that continue to push themselves time and time again, they tend to get more work put on you. So you want to do enough that people just really don't know who you are. And again, I don't want you siloing yourself in your current role, but if you're doing your job well enough, you will tend to fly just enough under the radar where no one's going to pay attention to it at all. So let's talk about tips on things that you can do just to be motivated enough. There are a lot of avenues that you can go through with this. For myself, I try to plan my entire week out, and I get very meticulous when it comes to this. I plan out the meetings I'm in. I plan out the breaks that I take, the walks that I take, the times that I step away. I try to be very meticulous with it, because when I look at it in that capacity, I can look ahead and look forward to certain things. One of the great things that I like to do is plan my meetings out strategically, especially the people that I talk to on a weekly basis. And I strategically place them in different spots throughout the week to kind of reinvigorate me, to keep me motivated. And so there's somebody that I really enjoy talking to, and I put them usually at the front of the week, right on Monday. And that kind of gets me motivated to get me through a Monday and then propel me throughout the rest of the week. Then I strategically put somebody at a Wednesday afternoon, because by Wednesday, I'm really trying to contemplate, like, Really, is it worth it? Is it worth it? And that rule can help me out tremendously. I will sit down and talk with them, have great conversations, and that will propel me into Friday. And Friday, very, very specific. Again, if you're not meeting with specific people, put yourself tasks that you absolutely enjoy doing and avoid meeting or talking to anybody else that potentially could get you into a bad mood. You want to put that on a Friday afternoon so that when you're done with it, you're in a good mood, you're excited, you're happy, and that will take you into a weekend where you can really enjoy it. If you schedule meetings that will frustrate you, or you talk with people that you know you're going to get frustrated with, and you put that towards the end of pretty much any day, honestly, you're going to go into that evening really feeling demotivated. And you don't want to spend the next 2 days off demotivated. You want to enjoy yourself. So you don't want to be thinking about the last conversation you had. So this can really spark some good motivation, and it can keep you focused on what you need to do throughout the rest of the week. And sometimes it's also good to try to gamify things a little bit. I was reading a book a couple weeks ago, and it was talking about this person that was working at a fast food restaurant. They really weren't enjoying their job, but it was all that they could do at the time because they were going to college and they didn't really have a whole lot of time on their hands. And so this afforded them the flexibility and also gave them some money. And so they just kept with it, but they really weren't motivated. And one of the days, the person came in and decided that they were going to do something different. They wanted to see how many times they could get people to get barbecue sauce with their fries. And so anytime somebody came to the window and they had fries, he would ask them, "Hey, do you want barbecue sauce?" And he kind of put this into a game, and he was keeping track of how many people he was able to attach barbecue sauce to. Now, this offered no revenue purposes to the restaurant. This gave him no bonuses at the end of the month or the end of the year, whatever. But it allowed him to challenge himself, and it put a new focus on his day. And he found himself talking to customers a little bit differently, saying, "Hey, you know what? My last customer, he didn't want barbecue sauce, but at the end, he really liked it. So you may want to give it a try." And he would attach it. And it allowed him to have fun in his role. And I think we all can do this. There's times in meetings where I've got people that have the same mannerisms. They have that key phrase that they use. I've used like office bingo before in my own thing, where if somebody says something, I'll mark it off a list. One, it keeps me engaged in meetings, but it allows you to also have fun. I've done things like capturing how many times somebody said or like, and I'll jot it down just to see how many I can get. And it's amazing how many times people say that in a given meeting. And again, it keeps it fun. It allows you to at least get through the day with trying to do something a little bit differently. That really doesn't make a difference, right? Doing these things isn't going to make you a better employee. It's not necessarily going to make you a worse employee. It's just you having fun. And that's what it's about. Doing your best to have fun throughout the day until you can get on the things that really you enjoy. Next, let's talk about some strategies that you can do to avoid getting extra attention. And I talked a little bit about this already, but remember, extra attention doesn't always mean extra positive attention. It can also mean extra negative attention. You want to be able to avoid both of those things. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't push yourself to potentially get more out of your job. If that's something that you want to do, if that's something that excites you, then by all means you should do it. But if you're in a role where you're like, I'm just here to collect a paycheck, nothing more, nothing less, then I want you to be thinking about these topics that you can do to avoid getting any type of extra attention, both negative and positive. First thing, when it comes to meetings, think of yourself as a ninja. Put yourself in a position where you can just kind of push yourself against the wall. Nobody knows you're there. You're not ruffling feathers. You're not pissing people off. You're not worrying about anything else that's going on there, and you're just going through the motions. This can give you different angles. First, it allows you to listen a lot more, and I tend to find that when I've gathered as much information as possible, I can formulate better thoughts. And so being the last person to speak or not speaking at all allows you the ability to listen to other things that are going on in the room. Again, people enjoy those that are good listeners. And if you can put yourself into a position that shows that you're a good listener, chances are that people may enjoy your company a lot more. And that could be a great thing. Remember, we're not getting positive attention. We're not getting negative attention. We're right there in the middle. And that's exactly where you want to be. And the next thing, consistency over brilliance. Nobody's expecting you to be an Einstein in every single meeting. Sometimes it's okay to just to come in, be yourself, do your work, and then jump out. That's it. And I want you to remember, resist the urge to say things like, do the bare minimum. I don't want anybody thinking that this is an excuse to go in and do your very bare minimum. This is an opportunity for you to put yourself into a position where you can just coast on through. And then it's about just staying out of the drama. I get it. We all want to make great relationships in our work. We want to have friends that we enjoy working with. And when that happens, gossip tends to come forward. And it's important to try to stay out of that as much as possible. You don't want to be the person that's contributing to gossip, and you certainly don't want to be the person that's starting gossip. Remember, it's about avoiding attention. And if you're in that place where it's like, I heard this from somebody, and if that somebody is you, you tend to put a lot more negative attention on yourself, and you don't want to be a part of that. And so when that comes up, best bet is just to nod along until it's over with. Remember, the goal here is invisibility, not visibility. And then finally, it's important to know when it's time to move on. If you're coming into your job and you're thinking to yourself, if I have to do this one more day, I'm going to lose it. It might be time for you to move on. I want people to be able to work into a position that allows them the ability to do the things that they love to do. Remember, it's not about just having your dream job. It's also about having a job that allows you to chase your dreams. That's the important thing. And if the job that you're currently in is not doing any of those, then it's important to start looking for something else. Because if you get into this position where you're hating your job and you start to be extremely complacent, then there's a chance that you might get into that spot where you're getting negative attention. And it is a lot harder to be able to find a job when you don't have a job. So continue to think about what it is that's motivating you, and think about, if I'm not being motivated in any capacity and it is becoming a daunting task, it's time to look for something else. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you were able to take away some tips to at least help you keep motivated enough to do your job well. It is okay to not feel fulfilled in your current role, but there are things that you can continue to do to at least make you do your job well enough to afford you the ability to do the things that you really love. And ultimately, that's what it's about. It's not always about having your dream job. It's also about having a job that allows you to chase your dreams. And I think everybody can get to that point. You can still do your job well and have fun at the same time. If you haven't already, please check out some of the videos that I've recently posted. I'll link them right here. Remember, elevating yourself to the next level starts with a single step. Take that step today. We'll see you next time.